father was seduced by the dark side of the Force. He ceased to be Anakin Skywalker and became Darth Vader. When that happened, the good man who was your father was destroyed.
There is still good in him.
He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, I am SocioPsycho, and this is Mob Reviews, and today we're going to take a look at SOMA. This was created by Fictional Games, available for PC, Mac, and Linux. It is a first-person adventure, atmospherically heavy, with about 50 years to 100 years in the future sci-fi theme. The main basis to this adventure game is a strong story which questions what is life and what is death. We will dive in and see exactly how well it manages to pull those topics off, and we will begin in the options menu. Now, the video quality of the game itself is actually not bad at all, depending on your personal choice, of course. I found that the options within the game upon which you can customize to your PC to be adequate, minus the frames per second if you want 120. Now, there may be a way to unlock it if you are hardware capable, but as we look over it here, you can see that it is capped at 75. I play the game at 60 frames per second, and I found no tearing, clipping, or crashing, and have not suffered any performance issues while playing. I really appreciate that they have an FOV slider with a number bar on top of it, so you can easily find the size that you prefer, just as you would shopping for clothing. They have post effects, field of depth of field, bloom, SSAO, as you can see, and in the rendering, other options to really, depending on your hardware or your personal preference as to what you like and don't like. When it comes to the graphic qualities of the game, I found no issues whatsoever. And when we go to key bindings, all the keys are very easily rebound with no issues on that front. You can see you have all the keys right there. It's a very simplistic game upon what you have, so there's really no issue in that whole option. So when we go into the game, the first thing we're going to talk about is the story. When you begin, you wake up in an underground sea lab, but something's not right. Something has definitely gone amiss, and it is a explorational adventure to find out where you are, what's the situation, and how that all ties together. The beauty of how the story is driven forward is by an underlying sense of fear, of dread, of doom even upon the safety of your life, as the area you are in is not exactly a safe one. The underwater sea lab has become overrun by a technological presence, sort of a watered down version of the singularity of computer programming of an intelligent AI. This mixed in with the fact that you have crazy robots roaming about that believe that they're still human, and anybody who is of not really the collective is a threat to their continued humanity and existence. The underlying question of what does it truly mean to be human, what does a soul really embody, and who has the right to proclaim that they are alive or that they are dead. Now, it doesn't talk about certain political issues or anything like that which we have in modern society, but it asks the fundamental questions which we all think about at least one point or time in life, which is, what is the meaning of life? What is our purpose? What is there to accomplish in our life, and what is there to hope for when all things feel hopeless? The fear that you feel as you progress through the story by the dangerous environments and the puzzles that you have to face, which tie nicely well in with the story and the environment, push this question further and further. As you progress through the game, there are certain decisions which you do need to make. Decisions which base off of how you, either the player or the character you've decided to play as, interact with the world. What is death by mercy and what is just murder? What is justifiable in allowing another the opportunity to live? And if there is a copy of yourself, if you come across two of you who is to say who not necessarily is the real one, but which one has the right to live? Does the original or the copy? And what if the original is a copy of a copy? Where does the line get drawn? And what true right is there in deciding someone else's fate, even if that fate is yours, but not yours, because you are another entity of your own self? The story asks questions like this. The story throws you into situations where you have to really judge on either principle, emotions, or hardcore logic as to how to get through and what decisions to make. The delightful element as you walk away from this game is the fact that it does give you something to think about.
What are you?
Are you blind? It's me, Carl Semkin. Wrangler? Any of this sound familiar to you?
No, actually.
Well, thanks for being so helpful. It's not like I'm knocked out on the floor or anything. Hello?
Are you human?
Shit, did my body give it away? I try hard staying a mystery. Yeah, I'm human. Are you?
My name is Simon. Do you know anything about this place?
Oh, you knew. That makes this slightly less weird. Look, I'm obviously hurt. If you see anyone else around, just tell them where I am.
So, where are you exactly?
Are you for real? I'm right here. See me waiting? Look at my hands. Hey, buddy.
Okay. I'm just gonna be. I'm not seeing it. I see a machine, a robot talking.
What the hell are you looking at? I'm here. See?
Okay. I just didn't expect you to look like that.
You're really hung up on appearances, you know that?
As you play the game, as you play this character, there is a strong personality which really draws you into the story. Now there's a counterbalance, because you have two characters, your main, which you play as, and sort of a side companion, which has a vocality in the game on par with the main player. They're two sides of a coin, which allow the player to sort of agree or disagree or understand both sides of the coin and lean one way or the other. The main character that you play as is a little freaked out, is the easy way of saying it. And it begs to question of the most simplistic problems which people face in society is not to worry about what time you don't have and to enjoy what you do have, as freaking out because you can't control everything that's happening in your world makes your world not enjoyable. So the character really resembles and resounds a person who is freaked out by the fact that he cannot control his environment to fit his personal needs and desires, rather than accepting life as it is and finding his own place in it, enjoying what he has and not worrying about what he does not. Now personally, myself, I am not that type of person. I am not going to worry about what I do not have. And so there's a huge disconnect in between me and the person. And that's where the companion, the female scientist, comes into play, because she helps balance it out. He gets freaked out, he gets all weird and insecure, which is understandable, because that is the way a lot of people deal with things that they can't control. But she keeps a levity, she keeps balance, and she offers either an ally or a comfort to the player who do find the main character a bit soft or weak or ridiculously emo. Not emo in the sense of, oh, I'm gonna cut myself, but more in the sense of, I'm freaking out and what does anything really matter? The story is tied together in a very beautiful and synchronizing manner. The only issue that I truly had about the story was the ending. And while I will not spoil anything for people, there are decisions you make throughout the game, whether they be small decisions such as healing yourself or larger obvious decisions, it's a little annoying that they do not have any reference or cohesion of those small decisions that you made at the end impacting the end of the game. So while the story itself stands up true, and even the ending does fit in well, and I don't have any faults with the ending, it is a definite missing opportunity for them not to have sort of a expanding multiple ending option due to the fact that they have all these little small decisions that you do make throughout the game, which could or should have impacted visually a ending for the player. But a story is only as relevant as the environment that you are exploring. And the environment, as I said, begins in an underwater sea lab. And it starts off very calm at first. And then it gets relatively scary. Not in a, I'm going to piss myself, but in a atmospheric, spook, haunted house type feel. You don't have things jumping out at you and jump scares happening, which is definitely appreciated. It doesn't do that throughout the game. The environment, though, does help do exactly what a horror game should, which is put the weight of fear on the player's mind in anticipation of what could happen, rather than trying to jump scare the player into a sense of being. They do this well by adding certain sounds of creatures rattling through the vents, or perhaps the moaning you hear of one of these cyborgs or robots, or clunking, the different atmospheric sounds which really play a huge role, the shadows and the lighting, and an overall just environmental feel of something that is not only grander and larger than yourself, but something that can easily dispatch you as if you were a fly to a windshield. The environment wraps around in between exploring different stations and outposts as you go from outpost to outpost on the bottom of the ocean surface, traveling in between those outposts while traveling on the bottom of the surface, which is definitely a unique take and an interesting experience. After you exit the first outpost, I did find that there was a little bit large of a zone, and that may just be a personal gripe, but it starts off with a very spooky atmosphere, very fearful of not sure what to expect, you're not sure what to understand, and it doesn't jump scare you and doesn't do anything stupid to compromise that, which is appreciative. But then it relies way back into a very relaxed atmosphere upon the seafloor and you exploring. So it really goes less after a first outpost as to a fearful adventure into a first-person explorational walking simulation. And while that stage may be a little long and draw out, and that may be an area where you lose interest or are starting to question, well, this is interesting, I'm looking at fish. When you eventually get to the next area, the next outpost, it starts to pick back up, and about the 40 to 50 percentile mark in the game of completion, it does start revving its engines up, and the threat of what you're going to face and how the stealth elements actually really come to life and they truly do matter in your carefulness while sneaking throughout these levels. It's not that there is a calm before the storm, it's just the calm is a little extended, a little bit longer than I personally would have enjoyed. Does that mean the game's bad? No. But if you do get it, you need to know that, because you might decide, well, screw this is not entertaining, this is not enjoyable, this is not fun. Where is the meat? Where is the spook? Where is the horror? It really dives into more adventure exploration rather than a menacing feel. But the way the construct of the levels are done, in between entering an air pressure tank which fills with water or empties the water out so you can enter these outposts, the way the doors open up, and the overall feel of the entire zone is one of disparity, of curiosity. And you can definitely tell that something bad has happened here, that chaos has reigned and decay as well. The world fits, it all ties together. At no point did anything feel out of the ordinary. At no point did anything say, hey, that doesn't really make sense to be here. Everything, every room, every building, every object that you walked by while on the bottom of the sea all fit together well. They all made sense, they all had their place, and there was no issues in the discrepancy of what you came across. The main discrepancy I really have with this game comes to the monsters. Now don't get me wrong, the monsters in the game do a good job when they are minimalistic. The monsters in the game have this feeling of weight behind them because they can easily kill you. And when the monsters do kill you, they are very forgiving in a sense, because when they find you and they kill you, it's more like they bitch slap you, and you wake up on the ground injured and hurt, and you can heal yourself at certain stations. But if they do it again, then you can die, and then it loads you back up to a checkpoint. So it's a very forgiving system in which just because you make one mistake doesn't mean you're condemned, but if you make 2 or 3, then you have to go back to a checkpoint, which I found isn't all that long in between these areas. The design aspect in between where the threats are and where the saving checkpoints are done very well. There was no point upon which I died and I thought to myself, you gotta be kidding me, come on, I have to go back and do a half hour's worth of stuff? No, there was none of that. Absolutely none. At most I lost 3, 4, 5 minutes, and that was depending on exploration of a zone I have not been in before. So going back into it, knowing what the layout is a second time around, I'm not wasting 4 or 5 minutes, I'm back to where I was in 2. The main issue I have with the monsters is how they react to the player's screen. Because they are sort of cyborgs, and they give off this high frequency that messes with a chip in your head, they make your visual cortex really split screen in a annoying manner. They overdo it. I get it to a point in a reference manner of some static to alert the player as there's an enemy coming around the corner. But this concept that if you look away from the enemy that's coming, if he's not on high alert, then he'll pass right by you more times than not. It is a toss-up really that if you're hiding in a dark corner and he is just on regular patrol, he'll walk right around you without seeing you if you have your face to a wall. But if he walks right around that corner and you're looking at him, he'll see you and attack you. If you're hiding in a corner and he's on red alert, meaning he was chasing you or he saw you previously, even if you're not looking at him, there's a good chance that he's going to attack you. The screen shake, the distortion, definitely comes down to a more looking at the monster itself. And it's overdone. It doesn't add anything to the horror theme of a game. It doesn't bring an element of suspense or drama. It actually just annoys. And so where you could feel, if you peek around a corner and you just feel a little tingle, or if you hear the heart rate of the character in the game increase, thus giving you, as a player, the incentive for your own heart rate to increase a little bit out of a spookiness. And say you're creeping through this dark room and you bump right into a monster because you didn't see him in the shadow. Well, you peek your head around the corner and there's no question that you're going to be able to tell whether the monster is in this room or not, because your entire screen is going to basically fall out of the computer, it's so vibrant. And that doesn't add to any of the horror element, it just brings more annoyance to the table and it weakens the overall element of the game. Because you're taking away from the atmosphere, from the aesthetic of fear, horror, threat, and danger, and it comes less into about let me try to sneak around this person, and more about, well, whatever, just kill me, because I know the load points aren't that long, and I'm tired of dealing with a screen shake. The other issue I have with the monsters is that while they do patrol, which is appreciated outside of the 1 or 2 locations where they want you to run, and it's more of a run and be chased mentality that ties into the story, which I can, I accept that and I get that. The story prompts you to run through instead of stealth through because you've been found, and a time-esque element of increased hysteria. I get that, that's fine. What is slightly annoying is some of these monsters actually move as fast as you, so even running past these monsters is not going to really benefit you all that well. You can sort of manipulate a certain areas based on levity of climbing a ladder, getting into a ventilation system, or minor things like that where you can sort of stop the enemy from being able to get to you. But the enemy is like a dog with a bone. Once they see you, they don't leave. So if they corner you into a room of shadow, you're going to be waiting there for about 5 minutes before they leave to go onto a zone. And they don't just go back to a patrol pattern, they sit right outside the door and then wait there for another 5 minutes before they go. So it begs the question of, well, why bother trying to be stealthy? If this guy's going to sit here for so long, I'll just have to run and have him chase me elsewhere and do a loop around to get through the door that I need to, or some such. But the important thing to note is that they did not overburden you with monsters. It wasn't every level there's a monster, every level there's a threat, every level that there is something that you need to hide behind. It was very well placed out to a point where you knew that there was going to be something dangerous coming up, or it was very obvious very quickly that I'm in a dangerous situation, I need to be careful, and it didn't overstay its welcome, which is definitely appreciative, because with the issues I stated out, if it had, my review of the game would have been far different. It would have been a lot more negative because of a lot higher level of frustration based off of a poor AI that the monsters actually hold. But the monsters are an atmospheric tool to help establish the threat of the world. They aren't the main guys of the world, in the sense of your survival, stealth, yes, very existence, no. Your very existence is tied to the story, upon finding the end of the game to save humanity, or what version consists of humanity, or as humanity. The monsters are just stepping stones to sneak by with a minimalistic stealth system that works. But because the stealth system is minimalistic in the AI of the monsters, and with the fact that you cannot use the environment in any creative fashion to obstruct the pathing of the enemies, does come down to at times a little frustrating. You cannot lure a monster into a room and then close him in that room via the door and lock the door, or even just barricade the door. But monsters are able to open doors even if they don't have hands. So while I feel there is a developmental shortcoming in that regard, by eliminating any power that the player could have to manipulate the world in a creative, clever fashion to survive, or to help them survive, it forces the player more to play by a strict rule of minimalistic stealth guidelines, with a very easily agitated monster that will make your screen shake out of your computer. So at the end of the day, how does it tie together? Is one element too detrimental for the rest? And simply no. The environment is beautifully done, it ties in well, you get this great aqua feel of what it's like to be on the bottom of the ocean, and throughout these different feelings of adventure through these old futuristic sea labs, with a large hint of personal exploration into what it truly means to be human, or what qualifies as human. The story is this game's strongest point. The environment has puzzles which tie well into the story, into the world, which don't overstay the welcome at all, and they are not a bother to solve. They are very simplistic, very easy, very time-friendly, and slightly satisfying to complete. The monsters in the game is the game's strongest environmental aid and its weakest gameplay mechanic. The monsters help tie a sense of fear, a sense of dread, a sense of something is not right. And it doesn't overstay its welcome, and that's the most important fact. The monsters do not overstay their welcome. They come, they go, you see them when you see them, and you know that they are coming, or you can guesstimate upon the dangerous times that you are in peril. But when they are there, the AI is so poorly done that the mechanic of it, tied to how you stealth, more times than not is just annoying due to the vibrant screen shake. The only reason that this is overlooked or accepted is because they didn't overstay the welcome of the monsters. And when you bundle all this up together, the game did not disrespect my time. I did not feel as if I was wasting any time in the game, or that I did not accomplish anything as I traversed this world. The game is going on Steam for $30, and if I was to purchase that, that's a little rough as me personally. $20, yes, I would definitely purchase this game for $20. It doesn't mean that the game is bad by any regards, I'm just a cheap bastard. And so you have to look at yourself and say, is $20 acceptable for a game that can have maybe one additional playthrough, 1 or 2, but it does have Steam Workshop as well. So there is the possibility for extra content. So it is a strong story, a very enwrapping, atmospheric environment worth $30 to you, because it's definitely worth 20 plus. But that's for you to decide. Overall, I enjoyed my time in the game. I found it a breathtaking refreshment of a game actually being more mature and bringing subject matter of a adult-like questions to the forefront of the gaming community. So, by the premise of the story alone, and how they tied